Good afternoon. I would like to share to you the Philippines Magna Carta for the disabled. So this is from the labor law documents of the Philippines from 1992, from the year 1992. For disabled person, dated March 24, 1992. So this is from the official Gazette of the Republic of the Philippines. Okay, so chapter 1 is the basic principle. Section 1 titled, This Act shall be known and cited as the Magna Carta for disabled persons. The grant of the rights and privileges for disabled persons guided by the following under Section 2. So here are the privileges. So disabled persons are part of Philippine society, thus the state shall give full support to the improvement of the total well-being of disabled persons and integration into the mainstream of society. Toward this end, the state shall adopt policies ensuring them to compete favorably for available opportunities. Disabled persons have the same rights as the other people to take their proper place in the society. They should be able to live freely and as independently as possible. This must be the concern of everyone, the family, the community, and all government and non-governmental organizations. The disabled person's rights must never be perceived as welfare services by the government. The rehabilitation of the disabled person shall be concern of the government in order to foster their capacity to attain a full, productive, and satisfying life. To reach out to a greater number of disabled persons, the rehabilitation services and benefits shall be expanded beyond the traditional urban-based centers to community-based programs that will ensure full participation of the different sectors or supported by the national and local government agencies. The state also recognizes the role of the private sector in promoting the welfare of disabled persons and shall encourage partnership in programs that address their needs and concerns. To facilitate integration of disabled persons into the mainstream of the society, the state shall advocate for and encourage respect for disabled persons. The state shall exert all efforts to remove all social, cultural, economic, environmental, and attitudinal barriers that are prejudicial to disabled. Section 3. This act shall cover all disabled persons and to the extent herein provided, departments, offices, and agencies of the national government or non-government organizations involve the attainment of the objectives of the Act. Section 4, for the definition of terms. So when we say disabled person, these are those suffering from restrictions or different abilities as a result of mental, physical, or sensory impairment to perform an activity in the manner or within the range considered normal for a human. Impairment is any loss, diminution, or aberration of psychological, physiological, or anatomical structure of function. Disability shall mean a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more psychological, physiological, or anatomical function of an individual or activities of such individual. A record of such an impairment or being recorded as having such impairment. When we say handicap, this refers to a disadvantage for a given individual resulting from an impairment or disability that limits or prevents the function of activity that is considered normal given the age and sex of the individual. Then rehabilitation. This is an integrated approach to physical, social, spiritual, educational, and vocational measures that create conditions for the individual to attain the highest possible level of functional ability. And social barriers, this refers to the characteristics of institutions, whether legal, economic, cultural, recreational, or other any human group or society, which limit the fullest possible participation of disabled persons in the life of the group. Social barriers include negative attitudes which tend to single out and exclude disabled persons and which distort roles and interpersonal relationships. Auxiliary aids and services include qualified interpreters or other effective methods of delivering materials to individuals with hearing impairments. Qualified readers, tape tests, or other effective methods of delivering materials to individuals with visual impairments. Acquisition or modification of equipment or devices and other similar services and actions or all types of aids and services that facilitates the learning process of people with had or which with mental disability. So reasonable accommodation include the improved existing facilities used by employees in order to render this readily accessible to and usable by disabled persons, and modification of work schedules, reassignment of a vacant position, acquisition or modification of the equipment or devices, and appropriate adjustments or modifications of examinations, training materials, or company policies, rules, and regulations, the provision of auxiliary aids and services, and other similar accommodations for disabled persons. Sheltered employment refers to the provision of productive work for disabled persons through workshops providing special facilities, income producing projects, or home work schemes with a view to giving them the opportunity to earn a living, thus enabling them to require a working capacity required in an open industry. Auxiliary social services are the support activities in the delivery of services to marginalized sector of the society. Marginalized disabled persons refer to disabled persons who lack access to rehabilitation services and opportunities to be able to participate fully in socio-economic activities and who have no means of livelihood or whose incomes fall below the threshold. So qualified individual with disability shall mean an individual with disability who, with or without reasonable accommodations, can perform essential functions of the employment position that such individual holds or desires. However, consideration shall be given to the employer's judgment as to what functions of the job are and if an employer has prepared a written description before advertising or interviewing applicants for this job. This description shall be considered evidence of the essential functions of the job. So readily achievable means a goal can be attained and carried out without much difficulty or expense. In determining whether an action is readily achievable factors, either that includes the nature and cost of the action, the overall financial resources of the facility or facilities involved in the action, the number of persons employed at such facility, the effect on expenses and resources or the impact and otherwise of such action upon the operation of the facility. The overall financial resources of the covered entity with respect to the number of employees, the number of and type and location of its facilities, and the overall financial resources of the covered entity within the structure and functions of the workforce of such entity, the geographic separateness, administrative or fiscal relationship of the facility or facilities in the question to cover the. Okay, so and then letter N, public transportation up to letter P, we will also briefly discuss this. So public transportation by airline, C that provides the public with general or special service on regular and continuing basis. Okay, so these are the definitions. Covered entity means an employee, the labor organization or labor management committee, and the commerce should be taken to mean as travel, trade, traffic, commerce, transportation, or communication among the provinces or between any foreign country or any territory of possession. So the first part of the Magna Carta disabled in the Philippines are really shows or teach us that we need to really accept people who are having this kind of deficiency, or those people who are disabled, because they are as the same with normal people. They also have their capacity and skills that may contribute to the company, and can be an asset of the company. But the company has the right to judge whether they can or cannot accept the following or those persons with this, because sometimes they might not compete in facilities that can accommodate such conditions. So that may cause into accidents, not only for the customers, the employees, but as well as for who are those people who are disabled. Okay, so that's it for the discussion for today. I hope you learned something, especially um, reference material from uh, Disability Rights Education and Defense Fund about the Philippines Magna Carta for the disabled. So for you to have an idea on whether if you are having your business someday, or are you able to accept, are you willing to accept disabled people in your company or not? Or what are the conditions, or what will you do in order to adjust to this kind of employees, etc. So that's it for today. Thank you very much and stay safe, everyone.